Have you ever felt like you know what you should be doing with your money? Things like saving more, paying off debt, maybe investing for the future.
Yeah, the basics.
Right, the basics, but actually taking consistent action feels, I don't know, impossible or overwhelming, maybe just out of reach.
Oh, absolutely. You're definitely not alone in that feeling. It's this common paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing versus doing. So many people face it.
It's really frustrating. So today, we want to cut through all that noise. We want to give you a clearer path forward.
That's right. You're welcome to the deep dive. And our mission for you today, it sounds simple, but it's actually pretty profound. We're going to unpack the core lessons from Ramit Sethi's fantastic book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
Okay.
We've really dug into it. And it's packed with, not just practical, tactical advice, which is great, but also these really compelling real-world success stories. And honestly, some challenging perspectives on money myths that might be holding you back without you even realizing it.
And here's the exciting part, right? Our goal is to take these powerful ideas, which can sometimes feel a bit counterintuitive, and make them genuinely easy to understand, maybe even entertaining.
Hopefully.
And most importantly, immediately actionable. So by the end of this deep dive, you won't just have theoretical knowledge floating around. You'll have a clear roadmap, a step-by-step guide, really, to apply these insights to your daily life, right away.
Exactly. This isn't about suddenly becoming some kind of financial whiz.
No.
It's about empowering you to actually design your own rich life, whatever that means for you.
I love that. Design your rich life. So let's unpack this. Where do we start? Maybe with the trickiest part, the foundation, our mindset.
Yeah, let's start right there. The mindset. The mindset shift.
Yeah.
Overcoming invisible money scripts.
So we just touched on it. Why is it that so many of us know the basics? Pay off high-interest debt, save consistently, invest for the future. We hear it all the time.
All the time.
But despite knowing it, we really struggle to consistently put it into action. It's this deeply frustrating cycle for so many. We read stuff, we listen, but nothing really changes.
It truly is a huge challenge. And the book brings up this really fascinating concept from Dr. Brad Klontz. He's a top professor in financial psychology. It helps us understand this disconnect.
Okay, what is it?
He calls them invisible money scripts. Basically, they're these unconscious beliefs we have about money.
Unconscious.
Yeah, totally unconscious most of the time. We absorb them from our parents, our family, society, growing up. And then they quietly guide our financial decisions for decades. We don't even know they're there.
Wow.
They're like these hidden programs running in the background of our financial brain.
Invisible scripts? That sounds kind of, I don't know, a bit spooky, like something from a psychological thriller.
Huh. Maybe a little.
Can you give us some examples? What do these actually sound like in real life? Because I bet a lot of us are living by them without even realizing it.
Oh, for sure. Think about phrases you might have heard growing up. Or maybe things you even catch yourself saying now, like, you're throwing your money away on rent.
Oh, yeah, I hear that one a lot.
Right. And while maybe renting isn't the long-term goal for everyone, that script, it can cause so much pressure, so much anxiety, even when renting is actually the sensible choice for you right now.
Okay. Or how about, we just don't talk about money in this house? That turns finance into this huge taboo subject, right? Makes having crucial conversations almost impossible later on. Other common ones. Credit cards are a total scam. Paints all credit as bad, stops people from using it smartly. Or the classic, stop spending money on lattes.
The latte myth.
Exactly. It makes you obsess over tiny, often meaningless expenses, and you miss the really big wins.
Right.
Some go even deeper, like money changes people, or you can't get rich without being shady. And a huge one, the one that stops so many people from investing, the stock market is just gambling.
Yeah, that's a big one. Even specific ones, like student loans are a scam. That can paralyze people, stop them from making smart decisions about their debt. The key insight here is that these aren't just sayings, they're deep scripts. Invisible. And they dictate our financial lives, leading to weird behaviors even when we think we know better.
Wow, okay. I'm sure those resonate with a lot of people listening. It's wild how these unconscious beliefs can lead to such strange, sometimes self-sabotaging behavior.
Probably.
I've seen people who literally avoid opening their bills. Just stack them up unopened out of fear or anxiety.
Avoidance.
And then there are others, the opposite end. They obsess over tracking every single penny, building these super complex spreadsheets, but they never actually take the big steps, like investing, never take real action.
Yeah, analysis paralysis.
It just shows we're not purely rational about money, are we? There's this huge emotional, psychological thing going on.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the book draws this really great parallel. It compares how we approach money to how we handle food. Think about it. Many of us don't really track our calories diligently, right? Just like we often don't track our spending.
Sure.
We probably eat more than we realize, just like we spend more than we realize or want to admit. We live in this kind of fuzzy financial state.
Yeah, kind of fuzzy.
And we debate the tiny details, right? The latest fad diet, the best workout. Just like we debate tiny interest rate differences or which hot stock is going to explode next.
That's so true. And we listen to anecdotal advice, right? What our friends say, what we see on TV or social media, instead of looking at actual research or proven methods, whether it's health or finance.
Exactly. And the core problem, as the author really hammers home, is that most people fall into one of two camps with money. Either they totally ignore it and then feel guilty and overwhelmed, or they obsess over every tiny detail, argue about basis points or, geopolitical risks, but they never actually do anything impactful.
And the result is the same for both.
The result is exactly the same. Nothing happens. No progress. The truth is, most of us don't need some fancy financial advisor to get rich. We need to understand a few key things. Set up the right accounts, automate it, choose some simple investments, and then this is the key. Just let it grow.
But that's not flashy, is it? It's not as exciting as the next big stock tip.
Definitely not. Not dramatic at all.
Which probably explains why we're always looking for that secret sauce. And this brings up another challenging point from the book, something it calls the pitfalls of victim culture.
Yes.
Where we tend to blame outside forces, circumstances, the economy, whatever, instead of focusing on what we can actually control.
Yes, and the author uses a pretty direct, almost tough love style here. It might feel a bit jarring for some, but it's really effective at pushing people to act.
Okay.
He mentions specific complaints he gets, like, I just can't save any money, even when he ran this challenge, the Save $1,000 in 30 Days challenge, and thousands of people proved they could save that much with simple, consistent effort.
Right.
Or, this sounds nice, if I even made $1,000 a month, but I'm in university. Using their current situation as a shield against taking any action.
Or just, the world is against me.
Yeah, that one. And the really big one, especially lately, I'm just too afraid of losing money. It paralyzes people, stops them from ever getting into the market.
So what's the tough love response?
He doesn't mince words. He says, basically, look, a lot of your financial problems, they're caused by one person.
You.
Yeah. Now, he acknowledges, obviously, socioeconomic factors, access, luck, they all play a role. Absolutely. But the core message is, focus relentlessly on what you can change, what you can influence, what you control.
Okay.
Because the cost of being cynical, of always blaming outside stuff, it's huge. Naysayers, people who choose excuses over action, they miss out on potentially hundreds of thousands, even millions, in gains over their lifetime. Gains that could totally change their lives.
It's presented as a stark choice then.
It really is. Be a passive cynic or be an active participant, even if you make a few small mistakes along the way.
That's a powerful way to frame it. So, okay, given that tough but kind of empowering view, what are the key takeaways, the messages that can actually get us moving?
Okay, first one is really profound. Small steps are incredibly effective. It is way more important to just get started than to spend weeks or months researching the absolute perfect fund or the perfect budget.
Right, perfectionism is the enemy here.
Totally. The goal isn't to become a financial expert overnight. It's just to live your life with purpose and let money be the tool that helps you do that. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Just start.
I like that. So instead of asking how much money do I need, which feels huge, it's more like, what do I want my life to look like and how can money help me get there?
Exactly. That reframing changes everything. Second key principle, you are in control. The book is super clear, almost blunt. This isn't a Disney movie and nobody's coming to rescue you.
Huh?
It's not meant to be depressing. It's about recognizing your own power. You can take charge of your finances. You have agency. Start building your rich life.
Okay, own it. What's third?
Third, embrace what he calls the conscious spending philosophy. This is huge for a lot of people. It means spending extravagantly, like really generously, on the things you absolutely love.
Okay, extravagantly.
Yeah. And then cutting costs mercilessly on the things you just don't care about. It's not about cutting lattes unless you genuinely don't care about lattes.
Right.
It's about deep self-awareness, prioritizing what truly matters to you, aligning your spending with your values.
That makes so much more sense than rigid budgets that just make you feel guilty all the time.
Exactly. It gives you permission to actually enjoy your money on your priorities. Guilt-free.
Love that. And the last one?
And finally, don't be paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. Honestly, it's better to make small mistakes now with small amounts of money. Learn from them so that when you have more money later, you'll know what pitfalls to avoid.
Okay.
The goal isn't perfection. It's consistent action. Learning as you go. Adapting. Your rich life isn't built overnight. It starts with that first, maybe imperfect step.
So, for you listening, the application here is really critical. Take a moment right now. Think about your own invisible money scripts. What beliefs, what excuses have really held you back? Maybe jot them down, acknowledge them.
Yeah, get them out there.
And then commit. Commit to taking just one small, immediate action based on these principles. Doesn't have to be huge, just has to be a start. A conscious step towards taking back control. 2, mastering credit cards. Big wins and avoiding pitfalls. Okay, so we've tackled the mindset piece, the importance of just starting. What's the very first, concrete lever we can pull? Where can we see some real traction quickly?
The book points to something kind of surprising, something most people ignore or even dread.
Credit cards.
Yeah, credit cards. And not in the way most people think, like just racking up debt.
Right.
This is about a big win.
Yeah.
Something that seems maybe a little boring on the surface, but it can literally save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime.
Hundreds of thousands from credit cards.
It boils down to your credit score. A good credit score is a massive deal, especially for those huge loans that shape our lives. Mortgages, car loans, even getting decent insurance rates.
Okay.
A strong score tells lenders you're responsible, less risky, so they offer you much, much better interest rates. The difference is staggering, and people often miss it.
Can you give an example? Make it tangible.
Sure. The book has a great illustration. Take a $200,000 30-year mortgage. If your FICO score is excellent, say 760 to 850, you might pay around $355,000 total over the life of that loan.
Okay.
But if your score is just okay, maybe the fair range, like 620 to 639, that total payment jumps to over $425,000.
Wow, that's, $70,000 more just in an accident.
Over $70,000 more. That's money that could be in your pocket or growing in your investments if you planned ahead with your credit.
That's incredible. It's a perfect example of what the book calls rich people plan before they need to plan, understanding the long-term impact of today's choices. But okay, for a lot of people listening, even those who kind of follow this stuff, credit reports and credit scores, they can still be a bit murky. What's the clear difference? And what really makes up your score?
Yeah, it can get confusing. Let's break it down. Your credit report is basically your detailed financial history, your resume for debt.
Okay.
It has your basic info, lists all your accounts, credit cards, student loans, car loans, mortgages, your payment history, like have you been paying on time, any late payments. It shows how much you currently owe and who's been asking for your credit info that's inquiries.
And you can get this for free, right?
Yes. Crucially, you can get it free once a year from each of the 3 main bureaus at annualcreditreport.com. You absolutely should check it for errors. Errors are common.
Okay, so that's the report, the history. What about the credit score itself, the number everyone talks about, usually the FICO score? How does that work?
Right, the FICO score. That's the number that summarizes everything in your report. It's a snapshot of your credit worthiness at a specific moment, and it's weighted by different factors.
Yeah.
The biggest chunk, 35%, is your payment history. Are you reliable? Do you pay on time? This is absolutely king. Even one late payment can hurt you significantly.
Okay, 35% payment history. Got it.
Next, 30% is amounts owed. This is mainly about your credit utilization rate. Basically, how much debt are you carrying compared to your total available credit?
So if I have a $10,000 limit, but I owe $9,000, my utilization is really high, 90%. And that's bad, even if I pay on time.
Exactly. Even if you pay on time, high utilization suggests you might be stretched thin. Ideally, you want to keep it below 30%. Even lower is better.
Okay, under 30%. Makes sense. What else?
Then 15% is the length of your credit history.
Yeah.
Older accounts generally look better, shows a longer track record of responsibility.
Right.
10% is new credit. Opening a whole bunch of new accounts all at once can temporarily lower your score, makes lenders think you might be desperate for credit. And the last 10% is types of credit. Having a mix like a credit card, maybe a student loan or an installment loan like a car payment, shows you can handle different kinds of debt responsibly.
And where do you get the real score? I know there are free sites like Credit Karma.
Yeah, Credit Karma and similar sites give you a good estimate, often using a slightly different model called Vantage Score. But most lenders, especially for mortgages, use your official FICO score. You can get that directly from myfico.com. It usually costs a small fee, but it's the most accurate picture of what lenders see.
Okay, that clarifies things a lot. So building good credit is a huge long-term win, almost like a financial superpower.
It really is.
But let's flip to the dark side. The soul-crushing cost of credit card debt. That's where things go wrong for so many people, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is where the system can feel really predatory. It's a trap designed to keep you paying, ideally forever, from the bank's perspective.
How does that work? The minimum payment trap.
Exactly. The book has some truly eye-opening, almost terrifying examples of the hidden cost of just making minimum payments. Imagine buying a $1,000 iPhone on a card with a 14% APR, which is pretty typical, maybe even low these days.
Okay.
If you only make the minimum payments, it would take you 9 years and 2 months to pay it off.
9 years for a
9 years. And you'd end up paying an extra $732 in interest alone.
Wow.
It gets worse. A $10,000 furniture purchase, making only minimum payments. 32 years and 2 months to pay off, and you'd pay over $13,000 in interest.
Wait, more in interest than the furniture cost?
More in interest than the original purchase price. It's a brutal cycle, and banks profit immensely from it.
That's just shocking. And that doesn't even count the opportunity cost, right? The money you're pouring into interest could be making you money somewhere else.
Precisely. That's the other hidden killer. That interest money could have been invested, compounding for you. That $13,000 in furniture interest, if you'd invested it and, say, an average 8% return over those 32 years, well, it'd be a lot more.
Tens of thousands more, easily.
Easily. As the book says, debt fundamentally means giving up choices. It can trap you in a job you hate just to pay the bills. It stops you from building savings for emergencies or future dreams.
Yeah.
There's a great story from a reader, Stephanie Ganowski. She talked about transforming from being crushed by debt, constantly stressed, to being debt-free. And it wasn't just about the money. It was about confidence, being able to travel, having experiences. It's about reclaiming your life.
Okay, so how do we navigate this? How do we make smart choices with cards, avoid these traps, especially if we're just starting or trying to optimize?
Okay, first rule, avoid retail store cards. You know, the ones they push at the checkout.
Oh, yeah, save 10% today.
Exactly. They almost always have terrible terms, super high fees, crazy interest rates, often well over 20%, sometimes close to 30%.
Yeah.
And the rewards are usually mediocre and inflexible. Just say no. You can always find better cards elsewhere.
Good tip. What else?
Second, be really careful when you research cards online. A lot of those best card lists you see, they're heavily influenced by affiliate fees. The cards that pay the site the most often get ranked higher.
Ah, so they're not always objective?
Not always. The author tells this story about finding a great 3% cashback card from Alliant Credit Union buried deep in some random forum post because it wasn't paying big affiliate fees. So you might need to dig a little deeper than the first few Google results.
Okay, good to know. Dig deeper.
And third, try not to go card crazy. There's no magic number, but for most people, 2 or 3 cards is plenty. Keeps things simple, easier to manage. You don't need a wallet full of plastic. And if you're getting tons of offers in the mail you don't want, you can stop most of them at optoutprescreen.com.
Right, simplify. Okay, the book also gets into some clever, almost like negotiation tactics for optimizing the cards you do have. What are some of those?
Yes, this is where you can really be proactive. Play some financial offense. The single most important thing you can do affects that massive 35% of your score is pay your bill regularly and on time. Every single time.
Boring, but crucial.
Super boring. Super crucial. Consistency here is everything. Lenders value prompt payers above all else. Set up autopay for at least the minimum, ideally the full statement balance.
Okay, paying on time, non-negotiable. What's next?
Always try to get fees waived. Call your card company. Ask them straight up, am I paying any fees on this card, like an annual fee? The book gives you a script.
Right.
If they say yes, you just say, I'd really prefer not to pay an annual fee. Could you waive it for this year? It feels maybe a bit awkward, but card companies fight hard to keep good customers. This works surprisingly often.
Huh. Worth a shot. What about the APR, the interest rate? Even if you pay in full every month, should you bother trying to lower that?
Absolutely. Negotiate a lower APR. Even if you always pay in full, which is the goal, having a lower APR is like a safety net. Life happens. Maybe one month you have a huge unexpected expense and need to carry a balance temporarily. A lower APR saves you money and stress then.
Okay.
The script is direct. Hi, I've been paying my bill on time and in full for X months, and I see other cards offering better rates. Can you lower my rate by, say, 50%, or at least 40%? A reader named Chris Coletti actually got his APR lowered and got some past interest credited back just by asking after reading the book.
Wow, okay. That's impressive. And there's a trick to improve your credit utilization too, right? That 30% chunk of the score involves asking for a higher limit, which sounds kind of backwards if you're worried about debt.
It does sound backwards, but it works provided you are already debt-free and disciplined. You can ask for an increase to your credit limit.
How does that help?
It lowers your utilization ratio. If you have a $5,000 limit and owe $1,000, your utilization is 20%. If they raise your limit to $10,000 and you still owe $1,000, suddenly your utilization drops to 10%. Looks better to lenders.
Ah, okay. The ratio improves.
Exactly. The script is simple. Hi, I'd like to request a credit limit increase. If they ask why, just say, I've been paying my bill in full for the last number of months and have some upcoming purchases. I'd like a limit of amount.
Clever. Okay, beyond the score itself, credit cards have some other hidden perks, right? Protections for purchases and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't overlook these. One big one is automatic warranty doubling. Most major credit cards will extend the manufacturer's warranty on things you buy, often for an extra year. So if your new gadget breaks just after the original warranty ends, your card might cover it. Another huge one is car rental insurance. You can almost always skip the expensive extra collision damage waiver, CDW or LDW, they try to sell you at the rental counter. Your own car insurance usually covers rentals, and your credit card often provides secondary coverage on top of that. Check your card benefits, but it's a massive money saver on every rental.
Okay, good to know. Always read the fine print on benefits. Now, what happens when things inevitably go wrong? Like you see a charge you don't recognize or you accidentally miss a payment. How do you handle that effectively?
Yeah, life happens. For disputing charges, remember, your credit card company has teams of people, basically an army, to investigate fraud and errors. They are often on your side. The author tells a story about getting an unfair cell phone early cancellation fee reversed because he kept good records of his calls with the phone company and disputed through his credit card. Keep records.
Documentation is key.
Absolutely. For missing a payment, look, it happens to almost everyone eventually. Don't panic. Call the bank. If you generally have a good payment history, most banks will waive the first late fee if you ask politely but firmly.
Is there a script for that too?
Yep. Something like, hi, I noticed I missed a payment. My apologies. I wanted to confirm this won't negatively affect my credit score. Now, about that late fee, I understand I was late, but given my good payment history otherwise, would you be able to waive that fee for me as a courtesy? Readers like Paul Frazier and Matt Groves got fees waived using this exact approach.
Wow.
And critically, track all your calls with banks, credit card companies, anyone financial. A simple spreadsheet, date, time, who you spoke to, get their name or ID, what was discussed, what was resolved. This log is your best friend if things get complicated.
Okay, track everything. So for anyone listening who's currently carrying credit card debt, which we know is a huge barrier to building wealth, what's the concrete step-by-step plan from the book to get out of it?
Okay, it's a clear 5-step plan. Makes it feel manageable. 1, figure out exactly how much you owe. Not just the total, but the interest rate on each card. You need clarity. Most people in debt don't actually know these numbers precisely.
Okay, get the facts.
2, focus on paying off the highest interest rate card first. This is often called the debt avalanche method. It saves you the most money in the long run because you're tackling the most expensive debt first.
Highest rate first, got it.
3, negotiate a lower APR on your cards. Call them up. Use the script we talked about. Explain you're serious about paying it off and know other cards have better rates. Every bit helps.
Okay, try to lower the rate.
4, decide where the extra money will come from. This ties back to your conscious spending plan. Where can you trim? Can you find an extra $50 a month? $100. Make a conscious decision to redirect that money towards the debt.
Find the money.
And 5, absolutely crucial, automate the payments to ensure you are paying more than the minimum amount due each month. Set up automatic transfers for that extra payment amount. Consistency is key to making progress.
That sounds logical, but the psychology of debt, the shame people feel,
Yeah.
it's powerful, isn't it? Feels like more than just numbers.
It absolutely is. Debt, like we said, means giving up choices, feeling trapped, not being able to save. Stephanie Godowski, that reader we mentioned, getting out of debt wasn't just about the numbers for her. It changed her confidence, her well-being, allowed her to live more fully. It's about taking back control. Responsibility, yes, but ultimately freedom.
Okay, so for you listening, take action on your credit cards this week. Review them. Pull your free report from annualcreditreport.com, check for errors, maybe get your real FICO score from myfico.com to see where you truly stand.
Do it.
Identify any debt you have.
Hey,
And
people,
just commit to making one negotiation call this week. Waive a fee, lower an APR. Just one call. This is a huge, big win waiting to happen. A massive step towards your rich life. The third, beating the banks. Smart banking for the rich life. All right, let's switch gears slightly. Let's talk banks. For most of us, our bank is, well, it's just kind of there. Maybe the one our parents used, or the one with the ATM closest to work.
Yeah, convenience often wins out.
But the book really challenges this passive approach, doesn't it? It suggests that the big traditional banks, well, they aren't always your friend financially.
That's putting it mildly. The author is pretty blunt. He admits he kind of hates banks as a matter of practice. Calls them things like scammy, dishonest, relying on customer inertia, the fact that we probably won't bother switching to make huge profits.
Wow. Strong words. Any examples?
Oh, yeah. He points to major scandals, like Wells Fargo getting hit with massive fines for opening millions of accounts without customer permission, or TIAA, a firm he once recommended, facing lawsuits for pushing products people didn't need.
Yikes.
His takeaway lesson is powerful and applies way beyond banks. When companies and people show you who they truly are, believe them. He argues big banks often rake it in by charging sneaky fees, offering terrible customer service, all because they bet you won't leave. They profit from your complacency.
Okay, so if that's the potential dark side of traditional banking, what does the ideal setup look like? According to this rich life philosophy, how do we find a bank that actually works for us?
The main goal is simple. Maximize any interest you earn, though we'll get to that, and absolutely minimize the fees you pay. Mercilessly cut fees.
Okay.
This usually means looking for high-interest, low-hassle accounts. And critically, the book strongly recommends having separate checking and savings accounts. Don't lump it all together.
Why separate?
Your checking account is for your everyday flow, frequent withdrawals, debit card swipes, ATM use, paying bills, liquidity. Your savings account, though, that's treated differently. It's your goals account.
Goals account.
Yeah, that's where you put your emergency fund, money for a vacation, a wedding, a down payment, specific goals. Keeping them separate stops you from accidentally spending your house down payment on, impulse buys.
Huh. Okay, that makes psychological sense. But wait, savings accounts? They pay basically nothing in interest these days, right? I think the book even calls the interest essentially meaningless for growing wealth. Seems contradictory.
It's a really important distinction. Yes, technically, savings accounts pay some interest. But with inflation, the actual purchasing power of your money often goes down, even with that tiny interest. So for growing wealth, yeah, savings account interest is pretty much meaningless.
Do I have one?
The book advises not to waste time chasing fractions of a percent higher interest on savings. Pick a great fee-free bank account, set it up, and then focus your energy on the real big wins, like investing. That's where wealth is actually built. Cash in savings is for safety, for short-term goals. It's not your growth engine.
Okay, safety and goals, not growth. Got it. So if the big traditional banks might be working against us, what kind of bank should we look for?
Generally, online banks come out on top. They have lower overhead costs, which means fewer fees for you, and often slightly better interest rates. Though again, don't obsess over savings rates.
Any specific recommendations from the book?
Author really likes Schwab. Readers apparently praise it constantly. No fees, no minimums, great service, and a huge plus. They reimburse ATM fees worldwide, so you can use any ATM anywhere.
Wow, that's a big perk for travelers. Any downsides to online banks?
The main one is depositing physical cash. It can be tricky or impossible with some purely online banks.
Right. So what if you deal with cash regularly, like tips or side jobs?
Then you might need a hybrid approach. Also, unclear websites. If you can't easily find their fee schedule and account terms online, that's shady. Be suspicious. And if they're constantly bombarding you with junk mail and phone calls trying to sell you stuff you don't need, that's annoying and often a sign they prioritize sales over service. The author apparently even switched car insurance because they wouldn't stop sending mail.
Huh, okay. So once you've picked a bank, or if you want to try and fix your current situation, how do you optimize things? This sounds like that negotiation stuff again, like with credit cards.
Exactly the same mindset.
Yeah.
Negotiating fees is key. Don't assume they're set in stone. Monthly maintenance fees, minimum balance requirements. The author calls them BS. Argue against them. If they say you need $1,000 sitting in a checking just to avoid a fee, point out the opportunity cost that money could be invested, working for you.
Good point. What about overdraft fees? Those can be brutal.
Brutal. Best strategy is avoidance. Keep a buffer in your checking, maybe $1,000, just for cushion. But if you do overdraft accidentally, most banks will waive the first one if you call and ask nicely but firmly. A reader named Adam Ferguson got a bounce check fee waived super easily just by calling.
Nice. And ATM fees, especially when traveling.
Definitely ask. The author tells this great story about a friend traveling in New York using ATMs constantly. She called her bank, simply asked them to waive the fees because she was traveling, and they did. Saved her over $250 on that one trip just by asking.
Wow, the power of asking.
It really seems to be the recurring theme, doesn't it? Across credit cards, banks.
Yeah.
Just being willing to pick up the phone and ask for what you want or what seems fair.
It feels uncomfortable sometimes, but the potential savings.
Huge.
Yeah.
Most of the special deals, the fee waivers, the better rates, they often require talking to a human, even if it's awkward. The book even gives you a script for when a bank rep says, sorry, we don't have any no-fee accounts.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
You say something like, really? That's surprising because name competitor bank is offering me that exact deal right now. Could you double check? What comparable accounts do you have that might work for me? Be polite, but direct. The author claims it works like 80% of the time. They want to keep your business. Use that leverage. Your time is valuable. Your money is valuable. Don't let them nickel and dime you.
Okay. Powerful stuff. So for you listening, action time again. This week, take a hard look at your bank accounts. Are you paying fees? Are there minimums? Use these negotiation tactics. Call your bank. Ask for a better deal.
Be polite but firm.
Exactly. And if they won't budge, don't be afraid to switch. Seriously, consider moving to a better online bank, one with low fees, maybe high-yield savings options. Even if the yield isn't huge, it's better than nothing. No, that truly supports your journey to a rich life.
Ferrari.
The power of investing, starting early and smart. Okay, let's get into the real engine room of building wealth. Investing. The book makes this incredibly strong case, almost provocative, that just saving money isn't enough, like at all. That flies in the face of what a lot of us grew up hearing.
It really does. But it's profoundly true. The author says something that might surprise people. It is so easy to win at this game of building wealth.
Easy.
Yeah. And he backs it up with this stunning statistic. The median retirement balance for people aged 56, 61 is only around $25,000.
Wow, that's low.
Shockingly low. But then he reveals you could have gotten that $25K just by investing $6 a month since 1980 in a simple, diversified portfolio. $6 a month.
$6, that's it.
That's it. It vividly shows that while saving is good, it's not enough for real growth. Consistent investing is the single most proven way to get rich over the long term.
Okay, but investing feels scary for so many people, especially if you're not, a finance bro.
Yeah.
There's this huge fear of losing money, right? Especially after market crashes.
That's wholly understandable, but it's also kind of ironic. People are terrified of possibly losing money in the market sometimes over the short term, but they face the certainty of running out of money if they don't invest for the long haul.
That's a sobering thought. Certainty of running out.
Yeah. The book mentions this Washington Post article saying most older people are literally more worried about running out of money than they are about dying.
Wow.
And this fear leads to situations like work campers, retirees who have to travel around taking seasonal jobs because they didn't save and invest enough. It's often a direct result of not investing consistently.
And older people regret it.
But consistently, deep regret about not starting earlier.
Yeah.
Vanguard data shows it clearly. Median 401k balance for under 25s is tiny, like $1,300. For 45, 54-year-olds, it's around $43,000. Imagine how much more that could be if they'd started consistently, even small amounts, way back when.
Okay, so based on all that, the single most important thing you can do with investing is just start early? Sounds too simple.
Almost too simple, but the math is incredibly powerful. Cannot stress this enough. The book uses this amazing illustration, Smart Sally versus Dumb Dan.
Okay, tell me about Sally and Dan.
Smart Sally invests $200 a month. Modest amount. She does it for just 10 years, from age 35 to 45. Then she stops. Never has another penny, just lets it grow. By the time she's 65, assuming an average 8% annual return, her account is worth around $181,000.
Wow, from just 10 years of saving $200 a month.
Now, dumb Dan. He starts later, age 45. He invests less, $100 a month, but he does it for twice as long, 20 years, until he's 65.
So longer period, less per month, what happens?
Even though he invested for 20 years, his account at age 65 is only worth about $118,000.
Wait, hold on. Sally invested less money overall, 24K total versus Dan's 24K total for a shoulder time, and she ends up with $60,000 more.
Over $60,000 more. It perfectly demonstrates the mind-blowing power of compound interest and starting early. It's not just how much you invest, it's when you start letting that money work for you. Time is your greatest asset.
Yeah, mind-bending is the right word. Okay, so we need to start early. Where should the money actually go? The book lays out a kind of ladder, right? A priority list.
Yep, a clear ladder of personal finance to guide your decisions, optimized for impact and taxes. Number 1, your 401k. Up to the employer match. This is literally free money. If your employer offers a match, you take it, period. It's an instant 50% or 100% return. Don't leave it on the table.
Free money first. Got it.
Number 2, pay off high-interest debt, especially credit cards. Get rid of that anchor dragging you down. Frees up cash flow.
Okay, kill expensive debt.
Number 3, open and fund a Roth IRA. Incredible tax advantages and flexibility here. We'll dig into why.
Roth IRA next.
Number 4, if you've done all that and still have money to invest, go back and max out your 401k. Contribute as much as the annual limit allows, currently $23,000 for 2024.
Max the 401k.
And number 5, if it applies to you, consider an HSA health savings account. Has unique triple tax advantages, making it a stealthy powerhouse for investing.
Okay, that ladder makes sense. Let's dig into those accounts, starting with the 401k. Lots of people have access to one through work. What makes it so good besides the match?
Beyond the crucial match, the big wins are tax benefits. Your contributions are pre-tax. You don't pay income tax on that money now, only when you withdraw it in retirement.
So it lowers my taxable income today.
Exactly. It's like an instant boost, maybe 25, 40%, depending on your tax bracket, because more of your money goes straight to work investing, not to taxes.
Right.
And the money grows tax deferred. You don't pay taxes on the dividends or capital gains each year. The whole pot grows faster, untouched by taxes until retirement.
Okay, pre-tax in, tax-deferred growth, employer match. How do you set it up?
Usually super simple. Talk to your HR department, fill out a form maybe online, set up automatic deductions from your paycheck, calculate how much you need to contribute to get the full match. Don't guess. If they match, say, 5% of your $50K salary, you need to put in $208 a month. Automate it.
What about old 401ks? When you leave a job, people mess this up all the time, right?
Huge mistake area. Here's the hierarchy. Best option. Roll it over to an IRA, individual retirement account, at a low-cost brokerage like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. They'll help you. This gives you way more investment choices and usually lower fees, more control.
Okay, roll to IRA is best.
Okay option. Roll it into your new company's 401k.
Uh-huh.
Simpler maybe, but you're stuck with their often limited options.
Okay.
Bad option. Just leave it behind with your old company. You'll probably forget about it, lose track, pay unnecessary fees.
Right.
Worst option, cash it out. Please, please don't do this. An insane number of young people, like 50% cash out your 401k when they leave a job. You get hit with massive taxes and penalties immediately. Can easily lose half the money. Just don't.
Don't cash out. Got it. What about Roth 401k? Some companies offer those too.
Yeah, those are interesting. You contribute after-tax money, like a Roth IRA. The big benefit is qualified withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. No income limits like Roth IRAs sometimes have. And you can usually roll a Roth 401k into a Roth IRA later. It's a good option if you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket in retirement.
Okay, so after the 401k match, the ladder says Roth IRA. Why is the Roth so beloved by financial nerds? What makes it special?
It is beloved. It flips the tax advantage of a traditional 401k. You contribute post-tax money. You already paid income tax on it.
Okay.
But the magic happens later. All the investment earnings, all the growth over decades, and all your qualified withdrawals after age 59 and a half, completely tax-free.
Zero taxes in retirement.
Zero taxes on decades of growth.
Yeah.
It's huge. Plus, amazing flexibility. You can withdraw your contributions, the money you put in, not the earnings at any time, for any reason, tax-free and penalty-free.
Really? Contributions are always accessible.
Yeah. It's a great emergency backup. Or can be used for a first-time home purchase or education costs under certain rules. So, tax-free growth, A&D flexibility.
I already set one up.
Super easy. Open an account online with Vanguard, Schwab, Fidelity, whoever you like. Many waive minimums if you set up automatic transfers, like your checking account, set up automatic contributions. Even $50 a month is a great start. Just be consistent.
But there's a catch, right? A story in the book about a huge mistake someone made with their Roth. Cost them thousands.
Yes. A critical warning. A reader told the author about a friend who had been diligently putting money into her Roth IRA for 10 years. 10 years. But the balance had barely grown.
Right.
She made the crucial mistake of never actually investing the money inside the Roth account. The money was just sitting there in cash, like a savings account.
Oh, no.
She missed out on an estimated $9,000 in tax-free growth just because she didn't take that final step of selecting funds like a target date fund or index funds within the account.
So just putting money in isn't enough. You have to actually buy investments with that money inside the account.
Exactly. It's not just a holding account for cash. You have to invest it for it to grow. Huge common mistake.
Okay, crucial point. Now, what about the HSA, health savings account? Sounds medical, not like an investment account. Why is it on the ladder?
The HSA. It's like a secret weapon, often called the triple tax advantage account. It's amazing.
Triple tax? How?
Okay, 1, you contribute pre-tax money or deduct contributions on your taxes. Lowers your taxable income now.
Yeah.
2, the money grows tax-free, just like a Roth. 3, withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are completely tax-free.
Pre-tax in, tax-free growth, tax-free out for medical. Okay, that's
It
good.
functions like a checking account with a debit card just for medical stuff. But here's the secret benefit, the game changer. After age 65, you can withdraw the money for any reason.
Anything, not just medical.
Anything. If it's not for medical, you pay regular income tax on it, just like a traditional 401k.
Right.
But no penalty. So savvy people max out their HSA, pay current medical bills out of pocket if they can afford to, and let that HSA money grow untouched, invested for decades as another retirement account.
Wow. That's a very powerful loophole almost. How does it compare long term?
The book shows an example. Invest $3,000 a year for 20 years. In a savings account, maybe $48K. In a 401k or Roth IRA, after taxes, maybe $102K. In an HSA, leveraged properly, could be over $137,000. That triple tax advantage really adds up over time.
Okay, HSA is seriously powerful if you're eligible. This all sounds great, but what about all those experts on TV, the gurus online, telling us which stocks to buy, when to sell? The book seems pretty skeptical.
Extremely skeptical, and rightly so. The author argues most financial experts, especially the media pundits and the fund managers who claim they can beat the market or time it perfectly, they're often no better than just buying a simple index fund, and frequently worse because of fees.
So timing the market is a myth.
Pretty much impossible to do consistently. He cites this Putnam investment study over 15 years. If you were invested but just missed the market's best 10 days during that time, your 7.7% annual return dropped to under 3%. Missed the best 30 days, your return went negative.
Wow. Just missing a few key days kills your returns.
Exactly. It shows that just being in the market consistently is way more important than trying to jump in and out.
And those advisory firms, do they do better?
Often not.
Yeah.
The book mentions a shocking stat. 47 out of 50 advisory firms kept recommending buy or hold on companies right up until they filed for bankruptcy.
Ouch.
Even things like Morningstar's 5-star ratings. They don't reliably predict future winners. And companies use survivorship bias.
Yeah.
They only show you the funds that survived and did well, hiding the ones that failed. It's misleading.
So the takeaway is?
Ignore the noise. Financial media is designed to create drama, get clicks, sell ads. It's almost never helpful for long-term buy and hold investing.
Okay, ignore the noise. What about fees? They always seem so small, like 1%, maybe 2%. The book says they're devastating. How?
They're incredibly destructive over time. This is Wall Street's secret weapon, that seemingly tiny 1% annual fee. Over decades, it can eat up 28%, maybe even 30–40% or more of your total potential returns.
Seriously, 1% costs that much?
Yes. An example from the book. $100,000 invested could grow to $2.1 million over many years, but at a 1% annual fee, it might only grow to $1.5 million. That's $600,000 gone. Poof, into the pockets of the financial industry.
$600,000 difference from a 1% fee. That's insane.
It's why the author hammers on keeping fees incredibly low. Aim for like 0.1% to 0.3% if possible, not 1% or 2%. A reader shared feeling like an idiot for getting suckered into a high-fee fund he didn't need. These fees are silent killers of wealth.
Okay, low fees are critical. So if active managers who charge high fees usually fail and market timing is impossible, what's the actual recommended strategy?
Beautifully simple and powerful. Passive management through low-cost index funds.
Index funds. Explain those quickly.
Instead of trying to pick winning stocks, an index fund just aims to match the performance of a broad market index, like the S&P 500, the 500 biggest U.S. companies, or a total stock market index.
So it doesn't try to beat the market, just match it.
Exactly. And because it's automated and doesn't involve expensive managers making guesses, the fees are incredibly low. Active mutual funds. They fail to beat the market like 75% of the time before fees, after their high fees. It's almost impossible for them to keep up long term.
So passive index funds win because of low costs and just tracking the market.
Precisely. The author jokes they anger your friends in finance because you're keeping the fees for yourself. John Bogle, founder of Vanguard, showed how a 2% fee over 50 years costs you 63% of your potential money. It's all about low costs and letting the market work for you.
Simplicity wins again. So how do you actually choose investments if you're going this route? Keep it simple.
Keep it incredibly simple. For most people, the 85% solution is a target date fund.
Target date fund.
Yeah, you pick one based on your approximate retirement year, like target date 2055. It automatically holds a diversified mix of stocks and bonds, and it gradually gets more conservative, more bonds, fewer stocks, as you get closer to that date. It's completely hands-off. Set it and forget it. Perfect if you don't want to tinker.
Okay, target date funds for simplicity. What if you want a bit more control, like a personal finance geek?
If you enjoy it a bit more, you can build your own simple portfolio using a few broad index funds, maybe 3 to 7 funds total, like a U.S. total stock market index fund, an international stock market index fund, and maybe a bond index fund. Based on established models like the Swenson model, keep it diversified and low cost.
And there's a quick math trick, rule of 72.
Yeah, handy shortcut. The rule of 72 estimates how long it takes for your money to double. Just divide 72 by your expected annual interest rate or return. So if you expect an 8% return, 72 divided by 8 is 9. Your money roughly doubles every 9 years.
Cool trick. What about individual stocks? Picking the next Amazon. That's the exciting part, right?
The author has a classic line for that, thinking you can consistently beat the market, picking stocks. Might as well take all your money, put it in a big Ziploc bag, and light it on fire.
Okay, so pretty clear stance there.
Very clear. He actually made a lot of money on Amazon stock himself, but he's adamant it was purely and simply luck, not skill. He stresses knowing why you win or lose. If you absolutely must gamble on individual stocks, treat it as fun money. Allocate maybe 5–10% of your investment portfolio, max. Money you can afford to lose completely.
Fun money only. Got it. Okay. The elephant in the room. Crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that stuff. What's the book's take? Investment or speculation?
The book comes down hard on the side of speculation for most people. It describes many crypto investors as mindless, roving hordes who are fundamentally speculators, lacking any real diversified portfolio.
How do you tell the difference?
He suggests a devastating question. Ask someone deep into crypto. Besides crypto, what does the rest of your portfolio look like? Their answer, he argues, will usually reveal they have everything pinned on this one volatile asset class.
And they have excuses.
Oh yeah, common ones. I don't invest in fiat currency. Stocks are boring. You just don't understand blockchain.
Okay, so what's the reality check according to the book? It sounds like a controversial take.
It is, but it's direct. The reality checkpoints are extreme volatility, 25% swings in a week aren't uncommon. Very few places actually accept it for payment. It's still largely used for illicit activities due to anonymity, and the scam rate is incredibly high. One study found 80% of initial coin offerings, ICOs, were scams.
80%. Wow.
Yeah. The book points to signs of gambling or cult-like behavior. Questioning the narrative is forbidden. People take increasingly risky steps like borrowing to buy crypto, making irrational claims about future prices, constantly shifting the goalposts for what crypto is even for. While the underlying blockchain tech might be interesting, the book argues its application in crypto, for most people, is pure speculation, not sound investing.
Okay, a very clear, if potentially unpopular perspective directly from the source. So, wrapping up investing. The application for you listening is clear. Decide your style simple target date fund or DIY index funds. Then start setting up those accounts. Automate your contributions, even if small. And the key message.
The next best time to invest is today. Don't wait. Start now. V-conscious spending. Design your rich life.
Okay, we've covered the foundations: mindset, credit, banking, the power of investing. Now let's talk about actually using your money day to day. How do you spend it consciously, intentionally to build that rich life? The book offers something different from traditional budgeting, right?
Yeah, totally different and way more effective for most people. It introduces the conscious spending plan. It moves way beyond that old idea of restrictive, penny-pinching budgeting.
Why is traditional budgeting so bad?
The author argues most people say they budget, but they don't stick to it, tracking every single penny. It's overwhelming, tedious, just not sustainable long-term. He laughs at surveys claiming 82% of Americans budget, calls it complete nonsense.
Okay, so what's the alternative? Conscious spending.
Conscious spending. It's not about cutting back on everything or depriving yourself. It's about deep, Prioritization.
Prioritization. How?
You figure out what you truly love spending money on, what brings you real joy, and you spend extravagantly on that. No guilt.
Extravagantly. Okay.
And then, for the stuff you genuinely don't care much about, you cut costs mercilessly. Be brutal. It's about making your own deliberate choices, not following someone else's rules. Free yourself from guilt. This plan lets you design your unique, rich life, making sure your money aligns with your deepest values.
That sounds way more liberating. And sustainable. Feeling guilty about every coffee just doesn't work. So what's the difference between being cheap and being a conscious spender? The book makes a distinction.
Huge distinction. Cheap people, the book says, often obsess over pennies, keep tallies of who owes who what, maybe aren't totally honest about their spending, can be unreasonable, and think short term. Their frugality often makes others uncomfortable.
Right. We all know someone like that, maybe.
Maybe. Conscious spenders, though, they're unapologetic about spending on their priorities because they've planned for it. Their frugality affects only them. They pick and choose intentionally. They see negotiation as a dance, not war. They think long-term, what can this money do for me? The beauty is this plan frees you from guilt. You can actually make progress and enjoy your money.
Okay. I'm sold on the philosophy. How does it work practically? How do you break down your take-home pay? Are there buckets, percentages?
Yep, 4 main buckets. These are flexible guidelines, percentages of your actual take-home pay. 1, fixed costs, 50-60%. This is your essentials. Rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, car payments, existing debt payments. Crucially, the author suggests adding a 15% buffer within this bucket.
A buffer? Why?
For all those little unexpected things that pop up, minor car repair, dentist copay, dry cleaning, stuff you forget to budget for. This buffer stops those surprises from wrecking your whole plan.
Smart. Okay, fixed costs 50-60%, including a buffer. What's next?
2, investments, 10%. This is non-negotiable for long-term wealth. Money flowing automatically to your 401k, Roth IRA, etc., building your future rich life.
10% for investing. Got it.
3, savings goals, 5-10%. This is for specific, intentional saving. Short-term goals,
Right.
holiday gifts, a new phone, midterm, wedding, new car, long-term, house down payment, building your emergency fund. The key here is planning ahead for predictable stuff. Start saving for Christmas in January, not December. Avoids last-minute debt.
Plan ahead for savings goals, 5-10%. Okay.
That's bucket. 4, guilt-free spending, 20-35%. This is where the fun is.
Yeah.
This is the money you get to spend on anything you want, absolutely guilt-free. Dining out, movies, clothes, hobbies, travel, whatever brings you joy.
Guilt-free.
Because you've already handled your fixed costs, your investments, and your savings goals. This money is designed to be enjoyed. No stress, no second guessing. It's accounted for. It's part of your rich life plan.
I absolutely love that. Guilt-free spending, it changes the whole vibe around money. Any real-world examples from the book that show this in action?
Yeah, a couple of great ones that show it works at different income levels. There's the partier, John, earns 6 figures. He consciously spends over $21,000 a year going out, dinners, bars, socializing. He loves it. It's his priority.
21K on going out. Okay.
But because he does that, he cuts mercilessly elsewhere. Doesn't care about fancy vacations or expensive apartment furniture. Cuts it out. And crucially, he automates his 10% investing. So that happens without him thinking.
So he knows himself, prioritizes, automates.
Exactly. Then there's the nonprofit employee, Julie. Makes $40,000 a year, much less.
Yeah.
But she manages to save $6,000 a year. How? Super disciplined, cooks at home, shares rent, maxes out her Roth IRA. If friends invite her out and it's not in her plan, she confidently says no. But when she does spend her guilt-free money, zero guilt because it's planned.
Shows it's not just for high earners. It's about choices.
Totally. It's about deliberate choices and priorities, whatever your income.
The book also had this neat psychological trick, the a la carte method, for discretionary spending. What was that?
Oh yeah, this is brilliant. Uses psychology against yourself. The idea. Cancel all your non-essential subscriptions. Magazines you don't read, cable package you barely watch, maybe even that gym membership you use twice a month.
Okay, cancel everything. Then what?
Then you buy things a la carte, only when you actually want them. Instead of cable, buy just the TV episode you want to watch for $2.98. Instead of the monthly gym fee, pay the $10 day pass rate each time you actually go.
Why does that work?
3 reasons. 1, you're probably overpaying on subscriptions anyway. The book notes gym members overestimate usage by like 70%, paying way more per visit than the day rate.
Ouch. Okay.
2, it forces a conscious decision every single time. You have to actively choose to spend that $3 or $10, makes you think. And 3, the money you save. You can then consciously reallocate it to things you really love, things higher on your rich life priority list. One reader said it was the first time they felt truly in control. Made me think about all my streaming services.
Uh-huh. Me too. Okay, clever trick. What tools does the book recommend to actually track this conscious spending plan?
For really getting a grip on where money goes and giving every dollar a job, you need a budget. YNA is highly recommended. Powerful software.
YNA.
For a high-level view of your investments, net worth, asset allocation, personal capital, now called Empower Personal Dashboard, is good. Or just logging into your main brokerage like Vanguard or Schwab.
Right.
Cash spending. If you still use cash a lot, track it carefully for maybe 6 months, figure out your average monthly cash spend, then just build that average amount into your fixed costs as a line item. No need to track every single dollar forever.
Okay. Average out the cash. And junk mail. That tempts spending.
Yeah. Stop the temptation. Use optoutprescreen.com to stop credit card offers. Use Catalog Choice to stop unwanted retail catalogs. Less temptation, less clutter.
Good tips. Now, what about the common pushback? This sounds great, but I just don't make enough money. How does the book handle that?
It acknowledges that some people truly are in very tough spots, cutting everything already. But for many others, it's often a perception issue. There might be more wiggle room than they think.
Like what?
Cooking one more meal at home per week instead of takeout. Holding onto your phone a year longer. Small shifts. But more importantly, it stresses focusing on big wins.
Big wins.
Yeah, things that have a much bigger impact than, say, switching to generic cereal. Renegotiating your cable or internet bill that can save $50, $100 a month easily. Shopping around for car insurance annually. Huge potential savings. These big wins free up way more cash than agonizing over tiny cuts.
Focus on the big levers. Okay, so if cutting expenses isn't enough, what about the other side? Earning more income. That's often the biggest lever, right?
Absolutely. Often the most powerful move you can make. The book covers a few key strategies here. For negotiating a raise at your current job, it says it's like 90% mindset, 10% tactics. Yeah, believing you deserve it. Preparing like crazy. Role play the conversation with a friend. Make a detailed list of your accomplishments, your value to the company. Research what your role pays elsewhere using sites like salary.com, payscale.com. Go in prepared, professional. You're not begging, you're stating your case for fair compensation. Not asking mommy for lemonade, as the book puts it.
Uh-huh. Okay, prepare, be professional. Where's your biggest leverage for a higher salary?
Getting a new higher paying job. Your absolute peak leverage is during the hiring process. The advice: interview with multiple companies at the same time if you can. Creates a potential bidding war for your skills.
Makes sense. Any examples?
Yeah, a reader named Rachel got a 28% raise plus stock options at a new job. How? She prepared detailed proposals for each company she interviewed with, showing her value. And she was persistent, followed up even after one interview didn't seem perfect. Preparation and persistence paid off hugely.
Wow, 28% plus stock. Okay. What about earning extra on the side? Freelancing, side gigs?
Fantastic option. Key is identifying skills people will actually pay for. Could be anything. Babysitting pays well. Virtual assistant work on sites like Upwork. The author highlights cool examples. Ben started a business teaching guys to dance. Julia turned her caricature art from 8-hour to a 6-figure business. Think about what you know, what you enjoy. You can even pitch companies directly if you have a niche skill. The internet makes it easier than ever.
Okay, lots of options to earn more. How should you handle unexpected money, like a bonus, tax refund, or even a raise? It's so easy for that just to vanish.
Be super intentional. For one-time windfalls, like a tax refund, birthday money, the book suggests a 50-50 split. 50% for fun, splurge on something you've really wanted, enjoy it now. And 50% straight to investing or high-interest debt. Motivates you and builds wealth.
50-50 for windfalls. What about raises?
Critical here. Avoid lifestyle creep. Don't just let your spending expand to eat up the whole raise. The advice: increase your standard of living a little bit. Maybe spend $1,000 or $4,000 raise on something nice, but commit to automatically saving or investing the rest, $3,000 in this case. A reader named Jason Henry automatically put half of every single raise straight into his 401k. Built wealth systematically without feeling deprived.
The conscious spending plan really provides the framework for all these decisions, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It guides you. It makes it easy to say no to things not in your plan without guilt. And it frees you up to truly enjoy the things you do spend on because you chose them consciously. By making these intentional choices up front, you become, as the book says, extraordinary. You're actively designing your rich life.
Okay, so for you listening, time to create your own conscious spending plan. Look at your spending honestly. Categorize it. Set your percentages for fixed costs with buffer, investments, savings, and that awesome guilt-free spending. Then Identify one or two big wins to cut costs, or make a concrete player to increase your income. This is where financial freedom starts to feel real. 6. Automating your money, the set and forget system. We've covered so much ground: mindset, accounts, planning, earning more, but the secret sauce, the thing that makes it all stick long term? Automation. The book calls automation the single most profitable system you will ever build. That's a pretty bold claim.
It's bold, but I think it's accurate. The author nails a basic truth about us humans. We get bored, distracted, and unmotivated with the day-to-day grind of managing money.
Guilty as charged.
Right. Automation is your offense. You build this robust system once, and then it works for you, consistently, diligently, without needing your constant attention. The philosophy is so liberating. Do the work now and benefit forever automatically.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Less work, more benefit.
Exactly. It frees up so much time, so much mental energy, reduces decision fatigue, lets you focus on actually living your rich life, not just managing spreadsheets.
So what does this automatic money flow actually look like? How does it connect all the pieces, checking, savings, investments?
It's an interconnected system. It links your accounts so money moves where it needs to go without you manually doing it all the time. It works based on the next $100 idea.
Next $100.
Yeah. Every $100 that comes in, it's automatically allocated based on your conscious spending plan percentages before you even touch it. So maybe $60 goes to fixed cost checking, $10 automatically transfers to investments, $10 to savings goals, and $20 is left for guilt-free spending.
So the money gets assigned its job right away.
Instantly. It's moved to the right accounts, earmarked for the right purpose before you even have a chance to think about spending it differently. It builds discipline into the system itself.
That sounds incredibly efficient. Can you walk through an example? Like a typical month, how does it flow?
Sure. Let's use Michelle's example from the book. It's a great illustration of a fully automated system. First, her paycheck hits. But before it even gets to her main account, her employer automatically deducts her 401k contribution. That long-term investment happens first, always.
Okay, 401k first.
Then, the rest of her paycheck goes into her checking account via direct deposit. Now the automation really kicks in, maybe around the 2nd or 5th of the month.
What happens then?
Her Roth IRA account automatically pulls its scheduled contribution from checking. Boom, part of her 10% investment goal met.
Nice.
At the same time, automatic transfers go out to her various savings sub-accounts, maybe one for a wedding, one for a house down payment, one for her emergency fund. Her 5-10% savings goal is hit.
Checking to savings, automated, yeah.
Then, most of her recurring bills, streaming, phone, maybe gym, are set up to be paid automatically by her credit card. Earns points, gets protection.
Okay.
Any bills that can't go on a credit card, like maybe rent or student loans, are set up for automatic payment directly from her checking account on their due dates.
Bills handled. What about the credit card itself?
Good question. Her credit card company emails her the statement. She gives it a quick, maybe 5-minute review just to check for errors or weird charges. Then, the full statement balance is automatically paid from her checking account on the due date. No interest, no late fees. Fully automated.
Wow. That is incredibly streamlined. It's like having a robot financial assistant.
Pretty much. And the benefits are huge. More time back in your life, more money saved and invested because it happens consistently without emotion. Higher returns over time. A reader named Jennifer Chang said she only really looks at her finances in detail a few times a year because her system just runs itself.
A few times a year. That's the dream. Is there a sample schedule?
Yeah, the book gives a simple template. First of the month, salary direct deposited to checking. Second of the month, 401k contribution deducted by employer. Fifth of the month, automatic transfers go from checking to savings accounts and Roth IRA. Seventh of the month, automatic bill payments happen, either from checking or paid via credit card. And the automatic payment for the full credit card balance gets sent from checking. And the key is setting up email alerts for bills before they're paid automatically, just so you can glance at them, catch any big errors, quick review, then let automation do the rest.
That sounds perfect for a regular paycheck. But what if your income is irregular? Freelancers, commission earners. Can automation still work?
Absolutely. It just needs one key adjustment, a robust emergency buffer. Because income fluctuates, you need a bigger cushion. The recommendation is a separate savings sub-account holding about 3 months of bare-bones living expenses.
Bare bones, like just essentials.
Yeah, rent, food, utilities, minimum debt payments, not your full lifestyle cost. So if your bare-bones number is $3,500 a month, aim for about $10,500 in that buffer account.
How do you fund that buffer if income is irregular?
You might need to temporarily pause your regular investing contributions and funnel everything into building that buffer first. Use any extra money from good months to fill it up faster. Once it's full, you can restart your regular automated investing.
Okay, build the buffer first. What about taxes for freelancers? That's a big headache.
Huge. Freelancers absolutely need to be disciplined about setting aside money for taxes. The recommendation is around 40% of income, just to be safe. Consider talking to a bookkeeper. You can set up automatic transfers to a separate tax savings account with every payment you receive. And Y&B is apparently really good for planning taxes with your regular income too.
Okay, so once this whole automated system is humming along, how often do you need to check on it? Is it truly set and forget?
In the beginning, maybe do a quick 5-minute weekly review of your credit card charges online. Just scan for weird stuff. This builds your trust in the system.
Okay, weekly at first.
But as you get comfortable, trust the system. You can review less often, maybe monthly. The author admits he doesn't sweat the small stuff anymore, like if a restaurant tip was off by a few bucks. He focuses on the big picture, accepts tiny bits of waste for the huge benefit of simplicity and mental freedom.
Right. The goal is to free yourself up.
Exactly. Build the system so you can live your life outside the spreadsheet, not chained to it.
Okay. So, listener action time. Map out your own automatic money flow. Look at your paydays, your bill due dates, adjust payment dates if you can to make the flow smoother, and then start automating. Automate your savings transfers, automate your investment contributions, automate your bill payments. The less you have to actively do, the more consistent and effortless your financial progress will be. That's the path to the rich life. 7, big life purchases and designing your rich life. This feels like we're bringing it all together now. All this planning, saving, investing, automating, it culminates in actually designing your rich life, right? But what does that really mean? Is it just about having a pile of cash?
Not at all, according to the book. A rich life isn't just about the number in your bank account or your net worth. It's fundamentally about freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah, the freedom to not constantly worry about money, the freedom to travel, to pursue hobbies and interests that truly light you up without finances being the main barrier, the freedom to afford things you genuinely want without guilt or stress.
Yeah.
It's a life lived outside the spreadsheet, focused on relationships, experiences, maybe giving back. It's about consciously choosing what makes you happy, not what society or ads tell you should make you happy. The author shares examples like taking a long honeymoon, treating his parents, creating those unforgettable rich life experiences that money simply makes possible.
I love that framing. Life outside the spreadsheet. Okay, let's talk about some of those big, often stressful life purchases where this planning really comes into play. Student loans, huge burden for so many, pay them off ASAP or invest instead. What's the advice?
It's a classic dilemma, and rarely a simple answer. First, the book acknowledges student loans are often a good investment in yourself. College grads typically earn way more over their lifetimes.
Yay!
But for the pay down versus invest question, the book generally leans towards a hybrid split, maybe 50-50, or even leaning more towards investing, especially when you're younger.
Why investing if the loan interest rate seems high?
Couple of reasons. Often, the loan interest rate might be similar to expected long-term market returns, making it kind of a wash mathematically. But the big factors are the power of compound interest starting early and the tax advantages of 401ks and Roth IRAs. You can never get back those early years of compounding if you wait until your loans are paid off in your late 30s or 40s to start investing seriously. Optimizing for the long game often favors investing early.
Okay, hybrid approach, lean towards investing early, makes sense. Now, money in relationships, huge source of stress, conflict, often totally taboo. How do you even start talking about money with a partner?
It is super challenging, but absolutely necessary. The book has this brilliant low-pressure icebreaker. Use this book, or this deep dive, as the excuse.
How?
You could say something like, hey, I was reading this interesting finance book. Made me realize I never really learned much about money growing up. How about you? How did you learn? Opens the door gently. Ask open-ended, non-judgmental questions. What are your dreams for our financial future? What worries you most about money?
Be curious, not accusatory.
Exactly. And be vulnerable first. Share your money attitudes, your worries, things you're working on. The goals are to just normalize talking about money, get on the same page with basics, saving, investing, debt, and then set some exciting short and long-term joint savings goals together. Build a shared vision.
Okay, use the book as an excuse. Clever. What about splitting bills, especially if one person earns way more? 50-50 often feels unfair then.
Yeah, 50-50 can definitely breed resentment when incomes are unequal.
Uh-huh.
The book recommends Suze Orman's method. Split expenses proportionally based on income.
How does that work?
Easy example. You earn $5 a month, partner earns $4 a month. Total household income is $9. Your rent is $3K. Instead of $1,500 each, you figure out the percentages. You earn 56% of the income, $5K or $9. You pay 56% of the rent, which is $1,680. Your partner earns 44%, so they pay 44% of the rent, $3,320.
Ah, so you each contribute the same percentage of your income to shared costs.
Exactly. Much fairer, reduces friction significantly.
Okay, weddings, another huge expense, can easily lead to debt right at the start of a marriage. How does the book approach planning for that?
It faces the reality head on. Average wedding costs, around $35,000 these days. People go into major debt. The key message, plan way, way ahead. Calculate the monthly savings needed. It's shocking. For that average wedding starting at age 20, maybe 333 months, wait until age 26, it jumps to over 2,300 months needed.
Wow, plan early. Any cost-cutting tips?
Focus relentlessly on the big fixed costs. Venue, catering, negotiate hard. The book even suggests looking at international vendors for things like photography or invitations. The author's sister apparently saved thousands hiring a great photographer from overseas who traveled for less than local rates. Think outside the box.
Okay, prenups. Even more taboo than talking about money. Does the book go there?
It does. Acknowledges how difficult it is, but stresses it's increasingly common and often wise, especially with significant assets or second marriages. The advice: start the conversation early. Frame it as love and protection for both partners, creating clarity, avoiding future conflict. Take responsibility for bringing it up. Share your finances openly first, and absolutely get good legal help. These are complex legal documents. It's proactive planning.
Okay, buying a car. Easy to get seduced by the shiny new object and overspend. What's the smart approach?
Avoid objectively bad cars, meaning too expensive for their value or reliability. Think long-term.
Yeah.
Plan to drive cars for 7+ years. Maintaining a good car is almost always cheaper than constantly buying new ones.
Buy used.
Not necessarily. The book challenges that myth. Sometimes a new car can be cheaper long-term if you keep it 10+ years. Warranty, better financing maybe. Key is, don't stretch your budget. Said maybe 10–15% of income, max. And negotiate like crazy. Use services like Fighting Chance to know the dealer's invoice price. Contact multiple dealers via email at the end of the month. Make them bid against each other. The author got $2 under invoice doing this from home.
Wow. And keep records.
Meticulously track maintenance. Helps with upkeep. Massively boosts resale value later.
Okay. And the biggest purchase for many? A house. Is it always the great investment people assume, or another script?
The book is conservative here. Argues a house is primarily a purchase, not always an investment, especially short-term. It busts the throwing money away on rent. Myth renting can be smarter financially sometimes. Use the NYT rent versus buy calculator online to see for your area.
What's the rule for buying?
20% down is crucial. Avoids PMI. Private mortgage insurance. Ensures you can actually afford it. Can't save 10% down? Don't even think about buying yet. And remember the true costs. Monthly mortgage is just the start. Add 40–50% more for property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, roofs leak, furnaces die.
40–50% more than the mortgage payment. Ouch!
Yeah, so the conservative approach. 20% down, 30-year fixed mortgage, total monthly housing cost, all in, no more than 30% of your gross income. Be realistic.
Realism seems key for all these big purchases.
Totally. The book says, assume you're underestimating costs. Force yourself to make a realistic plan, even just napkin math, for the big stuff coming in the next 10 years. Proactive planning prevents future stress and debt. Design your future.
And the book also mentions giving back, right, as part of a rich life?
Yes. Briefly but importantly, a truly rich life isn't just about hoarding wealth. It includes contributing, making a difference. Giving back time or money adds meaning and purpose beyond the numbers.
And that final reminder, ignore the noise.
Yes. Worth repeating. Financial media, drama. Investing, methodical, calm, boring. In a good way. Trust your simple, automated system. Aim to spend less than 90 minutes a month on finance stuff. Live your rich life outside the spreadsheet. Relationships, experiences, passions. That's the goal.
That's so liberating. What about helping parents if they're struggling with debt? That's such a tough, sensitive topic.
Incredibly tough. Often one of the hardest money talks. Parents rarely ask directly. Again, the book suggests using this book as the gentle opener. Mom, Dad, reading this finance book made me think, how did you learn about money?
Approach gently.
Super gently. Non-judgmental, compassionate, ask questions about their dreams, their current situation. Do you use online banking? Have a 401k. Don't try to overhaul everything. Focus on the 85% solution, maybe just one or two high-impact things. Help them set up automatic savings, tackle one credit card. Small wins build momentum.
Okay. And finally, once you're successful living your rich life, how do you share that success without sounding like a jerk or making others feel bad?
Be mindful. Be conscious of other situations. Picking restaurants. Choose affordable options if you're with friends who might be on tighter budgets. Sharing numbers. Only with your spouse or maybe extremely close, trusted people. Ask yourself why you're sharing. Is it to show off? Probably don't. It often reads as arrogance.
So how do you help?
The best way. Be a great example through your actions. Live your rich life confidently but humbly. And if someone genuinely asks you for advice, then maybe you share this book or what you've learned. Let them discover it themselves. Outro.
Wow. Okay, what a deep dive that was. We really cover a lot. We started by facing those invisible money scripts, the hidden beliefs holding us back.
Getting conscious about the unconscious stuff.
Yeah. Then mastering credit cards, using them for big wins, avoiding those awful debt traps, beating the banks, optimizing our accounts.
Taking control of the basics.
Then unlocking the incredible power of investing starting early, keeping it simple, ignoring the noise, understanding fees.
Building the real wealth engine. Yeah.
And designing that conscious spending plan, spending big on what you love, cutting mercilessly elsewhere, living guilt-free.
Aligning money with your actual life. And we tied it all together with automation, building that system to make it effortless. Tackled big purchases, money and relationships, even helping family, all leading towards designing that personalized, rich life.
You really do have the knowledge now, the tools. You know, money is just a tool, an important one, but just a tool for living the life you choose. You know that life, the real rich life, is lived outside the spreadsheet.
Focusing on what truly matters. Relationships, experiences, contributing.
And you know how to use money strategically and consciously to design your unique, rich life. So here's the final thought, the provocative question for you to take away and act on. What specific part of your rich life will you design next, starting today?